Okay, hi everyone. I am live and I'm very excited because I have a very special guest joining me today. He is going to join us right now. I'm going to bring him in, Dr. Michael Greger.
Hello.
Dr. Greger, I am so sorry I'm babbling to myself. I would like to thank you so much. I am so honored and grateful to have you join me for this very special Blab. And I would like to introduce you. Now, I will say we don't have any video on you, so we can hear you, but we can't see you.
Okay.
But I would really like to introduce Dr. Greger. He is a physician, a New York Times best-selling author and speaker. He scours the world's nutrition research to bring you free daily videos, and all the proceeds from his books, videos, and speaking go to charity. Dr. Greger also serves as the Director of Public Health and Animal Agriculture at the Humane Society of the United States. And Dr. Greger's groundbreaking book, How Not to Die, and I'm actually holding up my copy of this right here, which is written with Gene Stone, was just released earlier this month. It's already a New York Times bestseller, and in it he reveals the groundbreaking scientific evidence. And I got to say, there's over 130 pages of that evidence in here behind the only diet that can prevent and reverse many causes of disease. Welcome, Dr. Greger, and thank you so much for joining me.
Happy to be here, although I'm kind of only quasi here. I'm not sure why I'm not showing up.
I am not sure either. Your webcam is on?
Webcam is on.
Okay. Well, I'm so happy that we get to hear you. Maybe we can get the webcam turned on as well. Maybe the gremlins that seem to be doing something with the technology here can be sorted out. But in the meantime, I hear your treadmill. Are you on your treadmill?
I am always on my treadmill.
I love that. That is so great. So I just want to say I'm so excited. Your book, How Not to Die, I just love it. And of course, I just, I just like ravish it with, going through, and it's so packed with information, everything, notes all over it. But I love your table of contents in here. Part 1, how not to. I don't know if you can see that, but it's how not to, and just about every disease, how not to die from just about every disease there is. And of course, I love the second part that you get into your own personal stories and tips, your daily dozen. So, Dr. Greger, tell me, or tell us, what was your aha? This is a great story. What was your aha, your turning point that got you into what you do now?
Oh, the story of why I'm a doctor and why I practice the kind of medicine I do, lifestyle medicine, really goes back to when I was just a kid. When the doctor sent my grandma home in a wheelchair to die, essentially diagnosed with end-stage heart disease. She already had so many bypass operations, surgeries, that the surgeons eventually kind of run out of plumbing. Confined to a wheelchair with crushing chest pain. Her doctors told her there's nothing else they could do. Her life was over at age 65. But then she heard about this guy, Nathan Pritikin, actually on 60 Minutes, of all places. He was an early lifestyle medicine pioneer, and she became one of his early success stories. She's even featured in Pritikin's biography. It talks about Francis Greger. It was, this live-in program where, everyone's placed on a plant-based diet and started on a exercise regimen. They wheeled her in and she walked out. Within a few weeks, she was walking 10 miles a day, went on to live another 31 years until age 96 to continue to enjoy her 6 grandkids, including me. And so her miraculous recovery not only inspired one of those grandkids to pursue a career in medicine, but granted her enough healthy years to see him graduate from medical school. So it's really all just thanks to her.
Wow, that is such a great story. I mean, you're talking about a matter of weeks that she basically was sent home to die, and she walked out walking 10 miles a day.
Because they're treating the cause. That's what happens when you actually treat the cause of the disease instead of just trying to, help the symptoms with drugs and surgery.
Yeah. So, well, you bring up a really great point, the cause. So, there's so many different diseases that, are rampant, and you address many of them in your book. And yet, we always think of them, we compartmentalize them and think of them as something separate. Let's go get treated for breast cancer. Let's go get treated for diabetes. Let's go get treated for the heart disease or the high blood pressure. So what do you say to that?
Well, but it's the same diet that treats all of them. So, it's not like there's a heart-healthy diet and a brain-healthy diet and a different diet if you care about your kidneys. One diet to kind of rule them all. It's really the heart-healthy diet is a brain-healthy diet, is a whole-body healthy diet.
So, do you get what do you tell people then who maybe come to you or ask you questions about whatever their disease is, and they discount the diet? Clearly you have so many research. You've been doing this for years, scouring the evidence. In fact, so what do you tell people that don't believe that?
Well, they have a lot to learn. I tell them that there's good news. And the good news is that, we have tremendous control over our health and longevity. And so, the vast majority, premature death and disability is preventable with a plant-based diet and other healthy lifestyle behaviors. And so, this is a very optimistic message. Of course, it's not just involves more than just taking a pill. One actually has to put some work into it. But, what else, what more important thing in the world is there than the health of ourselves and our families?
Exactly. Well said. So everything that you talked about and everything that's in your book and, your site, nutritionfacts.org, everything that you present is evidence-based. So what does that mean?
Well, that means that it's based on the peer-reviewed scientific literature. Now, there are problems with our current system in terms of the the science. There's science today is fraught with fraud and bias and sloppiness and conflicts of interest. You'll see, the quiet shelving and burying of unfavorable outcomes, inappropriate interpretations. But, it's like that Winston Churchill quote that, democracy is the worst form of government except for all the others. Right? Yeah. So it's like peer-reviewed scientific literature these days is the worst form of evidence except all the others. How else? How else can we make life or death decisions for ourselves, our families, our patients, but by the best available balance of evidence? This is the best we got, and so let's do it.
And but don't you see too that even if this is the best of the worst in a sense, but yet there's trends, there's themes, there's consistency. The signal kind of comes out of the noise.
Well, there's people I think don't understand that there is an overwhelming global consensus regarding the core elements of healthy living. That's what the public needs and deserves to know. Look, people love hearing good news about their bad habits. Sells a lot of magazines, you put butter on the cover, but it sells the public short. It's a classic tobacco industry tactic to sow confusion, muddy the waters in hopes that people just kind of throw up their hands and eat whatever's put in front of them, which is $1 trillion industry. But the reality is there's remarkable consistency in the nutrition and science literature, and we should boost our intake of healthy plant foods like fruits and vegetables. This is the consensus. Boost our intake, healthy plant foods like fruits and vegetables. Limit our intake of animal foods and processed foods. I mean, this goes back decades. It's the same message. It's amazing I can put 1,000 videos together and come up with new videos and articles every day when it's the same damn message.
Yeah, every time. So what do you tell people that ask you, do I have to give up meat? Do I have to give up dairy? Do I have to give up my animal foods?
Well, look, I mean, you can choose, moderation and hit yourself with a smaller hammer. But why beat yourself up at all? It's still up to each of us to make our own decisions as to what to eat and how to live, but we should make these choices consciously, right? Educating ourselves about the predictable consequences of our actions. As a physician, what more can I do? Right. I mean, I don't tell my smoking patients to cut down to a half pack a day. I tell them to quit. Now, sure, a half pack is better than 2 packs, but ideally, we should try to only put healthy things in our mouth.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. I like to tell people, I know a lot of people that own rental properties, and I say, well, it's like if your tenants keep stuffing things down the toilet, you're going to have problems. If they don't put it down there at all, you won't.
That is true.
So it's very similar. So what do you do when you come across something in the literature that seems to stand out as different, or maybe in favor? Like, for example, there was an article that came out this week in SFgate about how lettuce is worse than bacon on the environment. I don't know if you've seen that one yet, and it was actually from a study that was done at Carnegie Mellon and published in Springer. So what is your process to evaluate and interpret if the data is good or not?
Well, I mean, you follow the money, who funds the research, and you put it in context of, the evidence done to date. I mean, the media loves flip-flopping because that's what gets people's attention. Mm-hmm. So if you come out with an article saying, oh my God, broccoli's good for you, like who's going to click on that link? It's like, yeah, duh, been there, done that. Right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So today you gotta say coffee's good for you. Then Wednesday you say it's bad for you. Then Thursday you say it's good for you. Well, it's like, well, wait a second. These are individual studies. If there are 10,000 studies on coffee, we could do a search right now, PubMed, and find out exactly how many. If there's 10,000, then one study is almost irrelevant, right? And it's like, well, wait a second, what about in context? Okay, there are 11,427. I just looked it up. 11,000 studies on coffee, and you got one? I don't care what that study showed. It's like, well, you got to put it in context. You say, yeah, but who has time to read 11,000 studies on coffee? Well, you're looking at them. I mean, that's why I've dedicated my life, and now we have a team of 14 researchers. All we do is troll through the literature and try to do our best to give the best representation of the available science that's out there. Now, does that mean it's good science? No. Does that mean it won't change? No. But this is the best we got. So what can we do other than do what we got?
That's right. Well, but you also see results. I mean, with what you're talking about with these science studies, we see it around us with what people choose to eat and what their conditions are like, and ourselves, whether we choose to eat plant-based, we feel great if we do. Those that don't, there's a lot of disease that goes with it. So there's a lot of evidence besides what's in the literature.
Well, no, but see, I discount that evidence.
Yeah.
So when a smoker takes a drag on a cigarette, do they feel bad? No, they feel good. That's why they take a drag on the cigarette. It feels good. What happens when you eat Krispy Kreme? Oh my God, that's awesome. Okay, but see, it's the industry trying to subvert your biochemistry. They know they spend millions of dollars trying to tweak Doritos, and so you'll want it. You'll desperate. And so when people say, "Oh, well, my body wants me to eat bacon," Okay, yeah, your body also wants you to eat ice cream. That doesn't mean it's good for you.
Right.
So it's the science. If the science says eating bacon is good, I'll eat bacon. If the science says eating bacon is bad, I won't eat bacon. It's as simple as that.
Okay, well, so that leads me to another question for you, and that is, what in the science have you come across over the years, or is there anything that made you say, I have got to start doing this, or I have got to stop doing
Oh,
that?
it happens all the time. I mean, all the time. That's what the Daily Dozen is all about. It's because there are so many changes in my diet. I had to write them down, or I couldn't keep track of them all. I mean, just recently, for example, I don't know, the top 3 things I've changed. I don't roast my nuts anymore. I used to encourage people to roast nuts. It's wrong, thanks to AGEs, these so-called glycotoxins. I used to put green tea leaves in my smoothies, which is fine if they're from Japan, but now we just discovered there's lead in Chinese green tea leaves. It doesn't leach out into the water, so you can drink tea, but if you're actually going to eat tea, like matcha tea, or put it in a smoothie, make sure it's not from China. And then the third thing, I put vinegar in almost everything now. Why? Because there's all this new evidence that vinegar is good for you. So, all right, let's do it.
Yeah, and what is it that the vinegar does? Is it related to the nitric oxide?
No, well, I mean, it's the acetic acid. It's the acetate. It's what happens when you're doing. I mean, so vinegar is defined as a weak acetic acid solution. When acetic acid hits your stomach, turns into acetate. It's absorbed into your body. It has all sorts of really fascinating effects. That'll be the. I have a whole 7 video series on vinegar coming up, so stay tuned.
Oh, looking forward to that. So I have some on another topic. How about Parkinson's disease? There's not nearly as much in the literature, or at least as much about Parkinson's as there is about a lot of the other, the heart disease, diabetes, cancers, and so forth. What would you say to somebody who has Parkinson's disease?
Read chapter 14. That's what I'd tell them. It's the 14th leading killer. So I got a chapter on Parkinson's, preventing it, treating it. In terms of preventing Parkinson's, probably the most important thing one can do dietarily is to avoid dairy. And then in terms of treating it, there's, I have videos on the site talking about it. So type in Parkinson's and nutritionfacts.org, you learn all you want to learn. And it's basically a plant-based protein distributed diet. So plant-based sources of protein, but skewed towards the nighttime meal.
Okay. So what about, you said dairy specifically, what about other animal-based foods? Of course, it's best to limit that, but like you said with the hammer analogy earlier,
for Parkinson's, it's for other, essential tremor, which is the most common cause of tremor, not Parkinson's. Well, then that's more associated perhaps with chicken consumption. But for Parkinson's, it really does appear to be the neurotoxic chemicals in the dairy supply.
Okay. So is there any? I know there's no cure for Parkinson's specifically, but
correct.
I know in some of your videos too that I've seen, and I've worked with Parkinson's patients as well, that they seem to get better effectiveness of their medication. Is that something you've encountered in your research?
I don't remember.
Okay.
I don't remember. You got to look at my Parkinson's videos. I haven't done a Parkinson's video all year, I don't think. So, but that's the nice thing about the web. You put it up, it's there forever. In fact, I find myself looking up searching on my own site because I'm like, wait a second, what was it about bell peppers? I forgot that thing about bell peppers. So I look it up. I mean, it's like, that's what it's there for.
That's right.
It doesn't need to be in my brain if I can put it somewhere else. I got new stuff to put in my brain. I want to get rid of the old stuff.
That's great. And Einstein had a quote: "Don't commit to memory anything you can look up."
Oh, I like it. Very good.
Yeah, very good. So, Dr. Greger, what is your typical day like?
Work.
Work. So you're on your treadmill. Are you reading all day? Do
I'm
you?
working all day. So yeah, I mean, writing, research, speaking, that's what I do. And so on research days, I read all day. On writing days, I write all day. And on speaking days, I'm on my butt in an airplane all day. That's just, those are the three things I do.
Okay. And how long does it take you to produce a video, a 5-minute
Way too,
video?
well, people don't realize it doesn't actually take long to actually make the video. Um, so maybe it takes, I don't know, 5 hours to script it, 5 hours to actually produce the video. But it's the research. That's maybe, I mean, it's the, I may read 200 articles to end up with 5 that make the video. Like, that's where all all the time goes, is the slogging through tens of thousands of journal articles. And so, I don't know, 14,000 every year in the nutrition literature. That's about 70 articles a day. It's a lot of work.
That is a lot of work, and it takes a lot of time. Are you a speed reader? You must be.
Yeah, you kind of get a sense. I don't know if I'm I mean, there's this kind of intuitive recognition of whether something is useful or not. In fact, it's interesting. I can so I get these PubMed alerts. So you can have, National Library of Medicine, the largest medical library in the world, send you emails anytime any article is published anywhere on a topic of your choice. So if you're like, I love avocados, I want to know the next time a study on avocado gets published. You go there, you type in avocado, and you say, send me a daily alert. So I've got about 5,000 sitting in my inbox. Each one has up to 200 abstracts, so it's like 1 million. I'm behind. And so, but it only takes me 8 seconds per abstract to go through and determine whether it's worth reading the article or not. And I find I can do that almost, like I can do it almost subconsciously. Like I can scroll through and I'll just catch it, and I'm like thinking about something else, and all of a sudden my brain will bring me back, and it'll be like, oh, that looks interesting. It's really it's almost like this Zen-like thing where you just go through thousands of thousands, and you just kind of, I don't know, it just pops out at me. Of course, maybe that's just an impression, and actually I'm losing lots of good stuff. I don't know, but it's just a lot of practice. You do this enough times, and it just, just by looking at an article if it's going to be useful or not. Although I never really put it to the test, but I do just get a kind of sense at this point.
Just experience, and that's amazing for as many as you go through. But what you go through is so nice, and it's so helpful, and you make my job and my life so much easier. I'm so grateful for what you do, and I know that there are many, many other people out there who are as well. And so I have one last question for you.
Sure.
And that has to do with, and it may not be at the top of your mind, like you said, it's already recorded, probably on the videos, but especially I'm thinking about your ties with the Humane Society and dogs. Now, I have 3 rescue dogs that are all vegan. They're all plant-based, and I give them coconut oil, and I've been doing my own research or nutritional analyses on coconut oil and some research, and I'm starting to think that maybe that's not a good idea because of the saturated fat. It might be as harmful for them as it is for us. Any comments on that?
I am a veterinarian that only knows one species, unfortunately, human beings. I'm a very limited vegetarian, and so I can tell you what coconut oil does for your arteries. I can't tell you what it does for an iguana's arteries or for anybody else. Sorry.
Okay, I just thought I'd try that. So just to wrap up here, we're just about through. Are there any comments or anything else you'd like to share? Anything specific about this book I just want to say that this book is fabulous. I
Oh,
have
thank you.
never found a more amazing resource. There is absolutely zero fluff in here. Everything is a fact with
Yeah.
citation. And is there anything you would like to say about your book?
I appreciate that I think you're the first person. So it's been out, I don't know, 2 weeks now. And I think you're the first I mean, I'm sure people have said this. I just haven't seen it or heard it. But the no fluff comment is really, I mean, when you read diet books, see, I very rarely read lay public books like nutrition books. I mean, I'm just doing the science. But when people are like, oh, please read my book because I want you to write a blurb on the back or something, I pick them up. There's nothing there. First of all, half the thing is recipes. And then it's just like fluff upon fluff. And then there's like 5 citations per chapter. They're all stuff I've seen before. It's just like you just start reading and then you can like skip lines, not lose anything, skip paragraphs, not lose. You can skip pages, not lose anything. And the reason is it's like, they want to put out a book a year or whatever. And it's like, they're just not doing a book of a year's worth of research every year. And so they have to rehash the same old stuff. It's amazing. And I'm like, people buy this thing? I mean, that is one thing that you could never say about this book, right? I mean, there's like 3,000 citations. It is, in fact, if you wanted to say anything, you could say, well, it's too dense. Like, there's just too much stuff. I got to slow down. It's not exactly beach reading, but okay, I'll take that criticism. But when it's a matter of life and death, I'd rather be dense than fluffy.
I love it. And you're right. You can open to any page and find something extremely valuable. And it's so much fun. And I found your pumpkin custard recipe the day I got the book and just happened to randomly flip through it and open to that page. And turmeric, it's under turmeric, by the way, because it's not listed in the index. So if anybody wants to find the recipe for pumpkin custard, it is so good. I made it that night.
Oh, great. Great. You can actually, since then, the reason I call it pumpkin custard instead of pumpkin pie is because I couldn't find a healthy pie crust. But now that I make my own healthy pie crust, I do actually make a pumpkin pie. And so the pie crust is just half chopped almonds, half chopped dates. You just kind of smush it down, and that's it. You put it all in a food processor and you just mush it down. Then put the pumpkin custard in. So then you actually have a real pumpkin pie.
Oh my gosh, I am making that this week.
Oh, good. Just take the pits out of the dates first.
Yes, those don't do well in your food processor.
They do not.
So, Dr. Greger, thank you so very much for spending this time with me and everybody who gets to listen to this. Thank you for writing the book. Thank you for nutritionfacts.org. Thank you for all that you do.
Happy to help. Keep up the good work.
Thank you. Happy holidays.
You too.
Bye.